Mr. Bertrand, PGA, thank you for having us today. Whenever everyone has shut our voices down, you have given us a platform. I've come from a long way and I'm very exhausted from what's been happening in my country in the last week. So I've written my speech. Please excuse me for the emotion. As I was flying to Brussels, I received devastating news from Afghanistan. Another attack had struck. This time the target was a rehabilitation hospital. More than 400 people have been killed. More than 250 people injured. These were not fighters. They were patients, they were doctors, they were families. People who had already suffered injuries from years of war and were trying to rebuild their lives. And once again, the victims were not terrorists, they were civilians. Pakistan claims it is fighting terrorists, but the bodies being pulled from the rubble are Afghan civilians. This tragic pattern is something Afghans know too well. In my paternal province of Paktika, in the district of Barmal, similar strikes have taken place under the same justification, that militants were being targeted. But I know the families who were affected, entire households destroyed, children buried, villages shattered. Each time the explanation is the same. Terrorists were the target, yet the graves that are dug belong to civilians. For 40 years, Afghanistan has buried its children while the world debates strategy. I come before you today as a member of the Afghan parliament in exile, where I represented the Kuchi people. The Kuchis are one of Afghanistan's oldest communities, nomadic pastoralists who have moved across the country for centuries, connecting regions and tribes across Afghanistan. Communities like ours understand something deeply. When instability spreads, when borders become battlefields, when governments collapse, it is always the ordinary people who suffer first. During my time in Parliament, I also served as a Deputy Speaker of the Defense Commission, working closely with Afghanistan's security institutions during some of the most difficult years in the war. Today, I also speak to you as one of the founders of Afghan Peace Watch, a monitoring network with trusted contacts across all 34 provinces of Afghanistan. Through this network, we receive daily reports from teachers, elders, doctors, journalists, and families. These voices rarely reach rooms like this, but they should. 2 days ago, in the morning, I spoke with a father in Kandahar. His daughter was 14 years old. She took her own life. Her dream was simple. She wanted to continue school. Her father told me something that I will never forget. He said he regrets encouraging her to dream about a future that she could never have now. Because now she understands that future had been taken away. He hates the Taliban, but he cannot say that publicly. In Afghanistan today, even grief must remain silent. Across the country, an entire generation is growing up under prolonged trauma. Girls who once carried books now see no future. Families live under constant fear of punishment and surveillance. According to the United Nations, the Taliban have issued more than 80 decrees restricting the rights and freedoms of women and girls since 2021. Girls are banned from secondary school and universities. Women are banned from most employment. Women are banned from parks, gyms, and many public spaces. The United Nations Assistance Mission in Afghanistan has documented public floggings, executions, and corporal punishment carried out across multiple provinces. These punishments are not only about enforcing rules. They are meant to break the spirit of an entire society. But Afghanistan's suffering does not stop within its borders. According to UNHCR, more than 1 million Afghans have been forced or pressured to return from Pakistan since late 2023. With hundreds of thousands more forced back from Iran. Many of these families lived in those countries for decades. Even Afghans carrying official UN refugee documentation have been detained, deported, or imprisoned. Women and children today sit in detention centers waiting to be expelled. Meanwhile, individuals internationally recognized as terrorists have long operated openly. Figures like Hafiz Saeed, founder of Lashkar-e-Taiba, and Masood Azhar, leader of Jaish Mohammed, are widely known names who are hand in hand with ISI generals today, walking freely. So we must ask a difficult question. Why are refugee families imprisoned while extremist networks are allowed to exist? And if we are going to speak honestly about Afghanistan's future, we must also speak honestly about its past. For decades, Afghanistan was turned into an arena of proxy warfare and militant networks. Even Western leaders have acknowledged this. Former US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton once stated clearly, "We helped create the problem we are now fighting." Pakistan's own leaders have acknowledged their role as well. Former President Parvez Musharraf openly admitted that Pakistan supported and trained Taliban fighters during the 1990s as part of its regional strategy. And in 2011, Secretary Clinton warned Pakistan directly, "You cannot keep snakes in your backyard and expect them only to bite your neighbors." Today, those snakes are biting everyone. The Taliban, who were once tolerated as strategic assets, are now fighting their former sponsors. But once again, the militants are not the ones suffering. The victims are Afghan civilians. Not one Afghan today lives in peace. And the consequences of this instability will not stop in Afghanistan. When a country of more than 40 million people is pushed into poverty, repression, and conflict, the consequences spread outward. Extremism spreads. Human trafficking networks grow. Migration pressure increases. Europe has seen this before. Preventing the next crisis requires addressing Afghanistan's situation now, not after it spills beyond our region. But accountability alone is not enough. The world must begin preparing for a future beyond the Taliban. Afghanistan cannot move from one armed faction to another. The Afghan people have lived through that cycle too many times. The future of Afghanistan must rest on three foundations. First, legitimacy. Any future government must come from free and fair elections, not the power of a militia or foreign intelligence services. Second, inclusion. Afghanistan is a country of many communities, Pashtuns, Tajiks, Hazaras, Uzbeks, and nomadic communities like the Kuchis, whom I represented in the parliament. A stable Afghanistan must include all of its people, including and especially women and other vulnerable communities. Third, rights. Girls must return to school. Women must return to public life. Citizens must be able to speak without fear. These are not Western values, these are human values, and millions of Afghans fight and die defending them. Afghanistan has been treated as a chessboard for geopolitical strategy for more than 40 years. But Afghanistan is not a chessboard. It is a nation of human beings. And today, those people are asking the world a simple question. Will you stand with those Afghans who believe in democracy, dignity, and freedom? Or will Afghanistan once again be abandoned to those who silence girls and rule through fear? The Afghan people have not given up. The question now is whether the world will stand with them. Thank you.